All right, I'm so thrilled to start a new journey in Xinjiang. I actually initiated a plan to join any of my friends' Xinjiang journey. And this time my companion is Arnaud. And I will be the part of your end of your journey, your months-long RV trip across Xinjiang. And so I think a lot of people know him already, but I still want you to give our audience.
Sure. So I'm Arnaud. I'm French. I'm an entrepreneur, so I created several companies. I used to live in China, so I lived in China with my wife, with Chinese, and my tutors during 8 years almost. And now we live in Malaysia, but we often come back to China, especially for travel. So here we're spending our entire summer in Xinjiang, renting an RV. We rented an RV in Urumqi, which is the Xinjiang capital, and then we literally toured the whole province. And it's actually the third time we do that as a family. We love traveling in RV in China.
But you didn't mention Arnaud got like 400,000, more than 400,000 followers on X. And I'm betting this is the 31st day or 32nd day of your trip?
Today is the 31st, yes, exactly, yeah.
So even though you have been posting for your followers all along the road, but I'm betting that a lot of people still want to know, at the end of the journey, what's your afterthoughts on the whole journey? So here we are.
I mean, I had read a lot about Xinjiang before, but there were still a few unexpected dimensions during the trip. So one aspect is I didn't expect Xinjiang to be so multi-ethnic. Because Xinjiang is always associated with the Uyghurs, and it's true, of course, that there are many Uyghurs in Xinjiang, but actually their entire Xinjiang is massive. But also people often don't realize that. It's a huge region. Actually, it's 3 times bigger than France. And so the diversity that you can see here is almost comparable to the diversity of a little continent in itself. Like you can see so many different types of ethnies, so many different types of lifestyles. So if you go somewhere in the mountains, you find Mongols. Mm-hmm. If you go down, in the valley, you see Kazakhs and Kyrgyz and Tajiks. And then if you go in the desert, in some of the oases, you see the Uyghurs. So it's extremely diverse, also diverse in terms of landscape and climates. So I think there is a saying in Xinjiang that when you travel through the region, you can experience the 4 seasons.
But what I want to say is I haven't started my questions, and I can feel like you have so much to share. As a foreign traveler, and you drove RV the whole trip, so maybe they will be curious about do you met with some issues, problems? So how it actually been? How does that feel?
I mean, it's been an incredible journey. I would say as a foreigner, I had quite a lot of experience driving an RV in China already, so I'm not sure I qualify as a normal foreigner in that case. I would say the way Xinjiang differs. So first of all, it differs quite a lot in the driving experience because you have so many different landscapes, and so it feels like you constantly need to change your style of driving. The style in South Xinjiang, like in Kashgar, is pretty sportive, I would say. Whereas if you drive in the mountains on the small mountain road and so on, you can't drive like that. So it's quite varied. And then, what I really like about driving in an RV in China, but that's everywhere in China, it doesn't apply only in Xinjiang, is the freedom. Because you can literally park pretty much almost anywhere and just spend the night there. Especially Xinjiang has some very remote place which don't have hotels. And so RV is just, if you want to go there and spend the night, is pretty much the only option. And this is actually different between China and the West, because for instance, in my country, France, you cannot park the RV everywhere. You have to park it in designated camping sites. And there is actually more freedom in China in that regard, meaning you can park your RV pretty much anywhere. Like in the middle of a city if you want, next to a tourism site. We've done that many times. So you actually feel much more freedom in China driving an RV than you do in France or I guess most Western countries. So in the end, we always tended, you have an app in China for RVs where they tell you this place is actually convenient for RV. So that's the app we used, and we always parked in places where there were a couple of other RVs, like never like completely in the wild, because you never know what might happen. So yeah, this app has actually proven quite useful.
Well, along the whole trip, did you feel like welcomed or watched or assisted or simply treated like other travelers?
So you are treated somewhat differently, because I mean that's also an issue that you have everywhere in China. Is for many things you need an ID card, and so you always have to have a custom experience when you have a passport. So for instance, sometimes in Xinjiang, for how do you say that, gas station. So for gas stations you need to show your ID. But when you have a passport, you need to actually get out of the car, and it's a slightly more cumbersome process, which is for everything in China. But it's like they're not going to customize the whole country for passports, I guess. So it's just takes like 2-3 minutes more when you need to actually physically get out rather than simply scan your ID card.
So. How do you find the roads or the facilities, and any troubles you ran into?
The quality of the roads on average is, I would say, pretty exceptional, especially given how extreme the conditions are in some places. Like, we went to some of the highest mountains in the world. We climbed a glacier, for instance, on a mountain that's 7,500 meters. Like, you have some pretty extreme conditions. And then you have, of course, the Taklamakan Desert, which is probably one of the most extreme deserts on Earth. Because it's a desert that moves very fast.
Floating.
Yeah, exactly. It's and in the past, it's known to basically cover entire cities.
Will bury the whole village.
Exactly. And so, what China did all around the desert is build a green belt to completely contain it. And that's how they managed to build a road next to the green belt that wasn't, buried under sand every couple of days. And I can imagine just the challenge of building that road.
Decades.
Yeah,
everybody here in Xinjiang, we feel obligated to plant trees.
Yeah. So it's you can see so much effort went behind the infrastructure building in this region. And you can find food pretty much anywhere. So even if we were staying during the night in remote corners of the desert or the mountain and so on, there was always a small stand that will sell food. In some places, they do tend to eat a lot of lamb, which is a big thing in Xinjiang. So I think for the first 14 days, we ate lamb almost every day. And then at some point, we started telling ourselves, okay, let's diversify a bit. We like freshly baked Uyghur bread, which you can also find almost everywhere. So yeah, I would say it's just very convenient. You actually don't need that much preparation before leaving, because you can buy pretty much everything on the road. And then for renting the RV, there are so many rental services that it's just not complicated, I think. You do need to speak Chinese, I guess, because overall I would say most people don't speak English here. So I would say as a foreigner, that would be the biggest hurdle. So my advice would be, have a good translator app with you, or travel with someone who speaks Chinese. But otherwise, things are pretty convenient.
So for long trips, we have to be prepared for some medical situations, which you know. And you shared you shared your experience in Kashgar.
Yeah.
So does local healthcare really give you a peace of mind? And what scared you most?
Yeah, so I had a medical issue when driving. I think partly because of the change of altitude, which is very drastic in Xinjiang. So you go from like very high altitude mountain, like 4,000 meters or so, down to
minus 200, like in Turpan.
Yeah, exactly. And you can do that in the space of hours, which has actually...
If you keep driving, definitely.
Yeah, if you keep driving, which I did. Well, my medical issue that I had during the trip, that was pretty scary due to the change of altitude, which is very drastic in this region. So we came from the Tian Shan Mountains, Duku Road, down to the Taklamakan Desert, and then we drove to Kashgar. And so on the road in the Taklamakan Desert, I had an episode where I almost passed out, and so that's pretty scary. I think it was a mix of just this change of altitude and driving a long time. That's obviously not good for the body. And so I went to the hospital in Kashgar, and what I found was maybe unfortunately I have a lot of experience with Chinese hospitals. I've been to probably over 100 over the years, and that was the pretty standard Chinese hospital experience, like just very efficient. So in the space of 2-3 hours, I saw 2 different specialists, a neurologist and a cardiologist. We think it was something called respiratory alkalosis, which can be caused by this difference of altitude and so on. And I still have a bit of that today, but at least it's somewhat reassuring to know what it was.
So if you have another chance, would you choose a different way?
Maybe I will choose to pace myself a bit more, because when you look at it, the rhythm of our trip was extremely intense. So we never stayed more than 1 day in the same place. We drove continuously every day. So every day it was driving plus visiting 2 or 3 sites. So if people check my Twitter right now, they can see every day.
So ambitious.
So my advice would be for people not to do the same mistake and just stay 2, 3, 4 days in one place and take time to explore, rather than, because Xinjiang is huge. So we wanted to see it all in 1 month, and we pretty much did, but that's very intense.